sit on a chair. I'm gonna sit on a chair. Be Chris. Can you guys hear me? I can't hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep. And we can see you now. Can you hear us?
Your mask, yep.
Yep, I can hear.
Me.
My wife told me I was
Yeah.
to wear one. He sees me on camera without this. Big trouble. How much everything is around up.
Called for you can reach your insurance company and said, hey,
Thank you.
you got stuff set up.
Here's
They'll be
that,
here.
so I don't.
Be there in an hour. 15 seconds later, highway crew came up behind us
Really? Nice.
and said, hey, what does she need a flat tire for you? Yes, I do.
Nice.
So, hey, went, got your stuff, got the cones, did everything. They did it all. And I had a tire back on my donut on my car and where'd that in? I said, so what do I owe you? Pay taxes. Yeah, I have DOT. He said, so how did you know I was here? You just happened to come and.
Mr. Edwards, hear us?
Nate, can you hear everybody?
Can you hear me, Nate?
Nate is on another vacation. He vacations more than anybody I know.
No, that's not true.
It is true. Where's Nate? Oh, his wife wanted to go on
I got
vacation.
much more to bring over to recycle, so.
Hey, she's out to eat tonight. I had to stay back, so I figured this was more important. So
Good for you.
Where's Nate?
So you are able to hear us okay?
yeah, it's like it's kind of echoey, and so as long as there's not two people talking at once, it's pretty good.
We'll do our best.
Yeah. So
So,
is this a new camera? It like keeps zipping to whoever's talking almost.
I believe it's all new, but I don't know.
Yeah. See, it just turned right to you and zoomed in on you.
Really?
I can see that little pimple right on your cheek.
I'm glad I dressed up.
I just kidding. You look sharp.
Thanks.
You do, Andrew.
Yeah, sure. At a bit station, why change?
nope, never heard that. Never heard.
George, I'm sorry, George.
We make a motion.
Look at that. He cut off 5 minutes. Full screen, but I think this is good enough for now.
Well, yeah, okay.
Good enough for now.
Yep.
We will.
Yes.
So that's.
It is called a conference call.
They just have to make state something during.
Voices?
That would have cost $3 grand.
That you can't, because it's actually.
And I'm like, we have budget. See, look, it's Nate's chair. It's empty without Nate. It looks like there's a bowl of candy.
The whole council.
Can't you put the TV screen over in my spot? And-
We could, but then you would get the back of everybody's.
oh, okay.
That would not be good. So I could see now.
The boardy one? I really
The last
shouldn't text and drive. Don't text and drive. Does
You
it
too,
feel
Brian.
good? Does it feel good?
What?
Doesn't it feel good?
When you pulled up the truck, I double took because I didn't recognize you at first.
Everyone can hear better than last time.
Better.
I hope.
Did you turn
About
this off
learning,
first?
right?
I know.
Well, I tested all yesterday. They were touches. They all worked nice.
Wow.
Mine didn't.
Yeah, mine didn't work well.
So we can zoom in on Brian with his new haircut. He's up there on TV.
So what's this thing out here?
Yes? Oh. Oh, go ahead, take one.
I'm probably glad it's.
If it was, this meeting would be a whole lot funner.
Call it a conference cam, Mr. Nick. It's the camera that is also a microphone. Set up.
Thank you.
And right now it's focused in on Brian,
What is?
the camera.
Look, round alien looking thing on the table there. Does that thing move on its own?
Does it move?
Nope. Chris got it commanded.
Oh, that's horrible.
Don't point it at me anymore.
Oh, so it's not automatic? I thought it was automatic.
Focus it on our newest council member over here, in between Ron and Tammy.
Don't recognize the man.
We love you, Brian. You know it.
I've been bullied like this since I was in fourth grade.
Welcome to my league.
Bullied. Wow. Wow. This is bullying.
So, I know Tiana is out here.
Yeah, read all that. Got a lot more room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Both sides.
Also,
Hello.
Steve's on vacation.
Hi, Tiana.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Oh, let me do this. Yeah. Glad you could join us tonight.
Yes, thank you. Do you guys have a monitor there that you're seeing everyone else who's on?
Yeah, big 55-inch TV.
All right, the time being 7 o'clock for our City of Benton Council meeting. It's on Zoom as well for all the people out at home or wherever. So call to order and roll call, please.
Edwards,
Here.
Elway.
Here.
Estenius,
Here.
Hessen,
Here.
Carr.
Yep.
Sturt. Here.
If you all rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Allegiance
of the United States of America,
the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job, Nate.
Thank you.
Must be a time delay.
A little bit of time.
Apparently he doesn't have fiber out
I
there.
was right on with you guys here. No, we don't.
All right, I need to get a motion to approve the agenda with a few changes. Items 8F is being removed. Items 8H, we did not receive a response from the police union representative, so that one has to be removed. 8H. And then 8I, we need to remove the approved agreement with the state of Iowa to purchase the IVSS campus. And remove 9B, approve the ordinance amending provisions pertaining to sewer service rates. Wow. So we picked up about 3 minutes for the night.
So move with those changes.
Second.
Motion by Essen, seconded by Elwick. Any questions? All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All right,
This is gonna be fun.
so we'll work through it. And I need a motion to accept the consent agenda as written.
Motion?
Second. Motion by Stark, seconded by Asenius. Any questions? Questions going once? Going twice? Hearing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
Now it's time to receive and file communication petitions and remonstrances. Anybody? None? Seeing none? All right. Whipping right through it. Moving on to committee reports. I don't believe that we had any. None? All right. So now we're going to move on to citizens input. So just make sure the council will not take any action on the public comments at this meeting, but may do so at a future meeting. And we're going to, for time's sake, make sure please limit the presentation to 3 minutes. Is there anybody who wishes to speak at the citizens input?
And that also, now is the time also, if you're online on Zoom, to leave a message, there's a little hand icon that you would press, and then right now the council can actually read your messages and if you have anything at this time.
So if anybody's out there watching on Zoom, if you got a question or a comment for citizens input, now would be your opportunity. Seeing none. Moving on. Old business. I need a motion for this time for the public hearing on zoning change. I need a motion to open that up. Okay. So Chris, this is
zoning change. I believe it's a request for a change in zoning from manufacturing to commercial. Here, and this is the time also for third and final reading for that, and it is before you. I believe Mr. Hamling and his wife is here, and his neighbor is also doing the driver as well.
would somebody like to speak?
I'll go first.
Come right on up.
Okay.
So state your name, your address,
Right.
all that good stuff.
Stand or sit or I don't.
You can sit right there at that chair.
Okay. I'm not on camera, am I?
We can get you on camera.
No. Thank you. All right. So I am the neighbor directly to the east of this property that is being requested to be rezoned. Oh, sorry. My name is Josh Geiger. I live at 1014 East 6th Street. I am a citizen of Vinton. So we're here on the third reading. I've had a lot of concerns up to this point about rezoning, not only for the purpose of rezoning, but also what rezoning would allow, and also the effect it will have on our neighborhood if it is allowed to do that. The other thing I have is I do have a lot of issues with the process, and I'll explain why here in a minute. So I don't even know where to start. This has been months of doing this, but we're coming into, we're trying to figure out what he can legally do. B1 versus M1. First thing we're told is setbacks are stricter. I sat down with Mr. Ward yesterday, and Mr. Ward, could you please confirm that we concluded the setbacks for M1 to B1 are definitely not more strict. In fact, every setback is either relaxed or the same. Is that correct? Including 15 foot to Mr. Van Wetschel and Mr. Windsor. That will now go to 0. They were told the opposite. 15 foot to 20 foot? No. 30 foot to 20 foot for residential. Me. I believe that is less by 10 foot. Front yard, 25 to 20. I believe that is less restrictive. Am I correct, sir?
That is absolutely correct according to
Thank you.
chapter 165, 120.
All yard sizes are none for both, correct?
Unless it adjoins a residential district.
Thank you, sir. So we were also informed that there would be a limitation of building size.
Is a limitation building.
Okay. Now, is there a limitation on both
On both,
M1 and B1?
yes, there is.
Okay.
Actually, they're identical.
Okay. So there is not. He in fact cannot build an M1, a larger building cannot be built. Thank you. That was not how it was presented. All right. So, Mr. Ward, in B1, is R3 residential or residences allowed
And R3, yes.
in B1?
And B1 for our residences are allowed in B1? Yes.
Okay.
They are allowed in B1.
Thank you. And then finally, we were talking, and is it true that even with B1 zoning, that a house cannot be built at this time?
Under the current structure
Yes, sir, of the
of
ordinance.
the ordinance, it cannot at this time.
Okay, so at this time, I would like to, according to state code, chapter 414, I would like to submit a protest, official protest for this rezoning. And I'm going to read this to you. We, the property owners adjacent to the property that is requesting to rezone on the east end of 6th Street, southeast corner of 10th Avenue, Vinton, Iowa, from M1 to B1 zoning, hereby officially protest and withdraw any implied support of rezoning due to the fact that we have been made aware that the original purpose of rezoning for a shop and house is not permitted in the B1 commercial zone. Therefore, the rezoning process should have been immediately stopped and rezoning denied. The only change that rezoning would allow at this time would be R3 multifamily residences, fourplexes and apartment buildings, and allow less restrictive setbacks, both of which we are completely and unquestionably against. If the city would like to legally change the zoning ordinance and Mr. Hamling would like to restart the process over and reapply for rezoning after the zoning allows what he is requesting, we gladly entertain the idea again, but at this point, there is no legal reason for the process of rezoning to continue. This is not just my signature. This is every adjacent property owner. There's also a note here. I have copies, yes, sir. I'm going to keep one for myself. Where does the official go, Mr. Ward?
To the city.
Okay. This is the official. I had to sign the back because everybody took up the rest. Let me pass this on to you guys. I'm sorry, I ran out of paper. Now, Cheryl Ducharme is here as well. She made a note here. You might want to read it because she is not very happy, and neither are the rest of the residents up there. We just found out that everything we were told when they signed the petitions was incorrect, and we just confirmed it. At this point, I don't even know how the city council would even vote on this. How do you vote on a rezoning for a purpose that is not allowed in that zoning? I don't understand. I don't understand it. And this is definitely not for this. This is not protecting every one of these neighbors. They were so upset that the spouses signed. And I know that in the work meeting, and this is what the problem was. In the work meeting, I asked you, Ms. Stark, I says, what can he legally build? And you said, anything we decide. Mr. Ward just said, R1. We don't want apartments and fourplexes up there. What happens if Mr. Hamling decides to sell, he doesn't want to shop at our house anymore, but now he is allowed. Residents are allowed there. We are protected. We're happy if he wants to go R1, but he's rezoning and he can't even do what he wants. And then on top of that, you know, Mr. Mayor, you said, well, everybody signed a piece of paper saying a shop and house, but you guys don't require plans. And that's what you said. He does not have to submit a plan, Mr. Geiger.
Right.
Okay. Did you read the note from Ms. Ducharme?
I did.
That's what happens when you don't have to submit plans. Now, another neighbor says, I don't have a problem with him putting up a house with a little shop on the side. I said, I was told a 50 by 90 house, pole barn with a 16-foot sidewall. They dropped their jaw because it said a house shop. But again, no plans were submitted. This is a problem. This whole process from the zoning committee didn't have the zoning setbacks in front of them. They voted, you're talking due process, but the zoning committee allowed and approved rezoning for a purpose that is not allowed. That's not I mean, I don't know what you say here. That's not due process. That's not due diligence, I think is the term you use. That's not due diligence. This is alarming. This is concerning. It really is. I mean, at this point, I'm going to step back because I've done what I'm legally allowed to do, correct, sir?
Right
And then
now,
from there, we go to appeal and hire a lawyer.
Well, Josh, first of all, I appreciate you coming and talking.
Right.
And I appreciate it. And Carol, I'd like you to get up and talk too if you could.
Absolutely.
I understand you expressed other people's concerns, but unless they're
They-
going to talk about it,
They signed it, though. They
I
did
know, I
sign it.
understand they signed it, but we were saying, well, this guy said, well, they can come here and say that too.
They can. And if you want, I can get them written up affidavits.
No, I'm fine.
I can get them
I believe that
written
they expressed some
affidavits.
concern, but you came to express your concern too, and I'd like to hear that.
Well,
In fact, I spoke with the neighbors, all of the neighbors, just before I got here, which is why I was a little late.
No, you're fine, so.
So, my name is Cheryl Ducharme.
Thank you.
I live at 1001 East 6th Street. Most of you know I'm the one that my house was destroyed in the storm of 2011. I built that big, brand new, beautiful house out there. Okay. I'm beside myself, as are my neighbors, Dale and Shirley McLean, Lynn Farmer, my husband, Jerry Ott, who lives behind us. We don't want this. We were lied to about what was going to be built. I was told it was going to be a house pretty much looked just like mine, which I was okay with because that'll bring up property values. That's not the case. We were deliberately lied to and deceived. We were not given proper notification of this rezoning, which is required by Iowa state law. After buying my house, originally the original house, I was forced to live next door to a property that became a rental property owned by Jason Barkdahl that was a garbage dump. There were feral cats, there were rats, there were vicious dogs. The property I paid 3 times just to have cleaned up myself after writing letters to the city government, the county, and the state to have it abated 3 different times. I'm not willing to live with that again if you're going to rezone this to commercial. And that numerous times the city refused to do anything about it. Again, I paid to have it cleaned up. The new home built on the land where that house subsequently burned down, the city permitted a garage to be built on my property without my permission. I'm tired of things being done in the city to my property and my neighborhood without my permission, without my neighbor's permission. It's getting old. The amount of damage, garbage, noise, deterioration is unacceptable to what we, the neighborhood, want. Okay, not to mention the devaluation of our property. That's going to devalue our property, and we've worked hard to keep our yards nice. Josh himself just put a new sewer in, we maintain our yards and such, and you want to put in this. It's unacceptable. You've taken from me, you've taken from my neighbors. We're over it, and we will seek legal
So back
action
up
if we
just a
have to,
second.
because we're
We
over
didn't
it.
take anything from you. If you allowed a garage to be built on.
No, I didn't allow it. I went to work one day, and the garage is not there, and I came home and it was there, and I was told, well, city council and Mossman said we can do it, which was no legal right to do it. No legal right. And I pay taxes on it now. And I don't even get to use it. I'm done. I don't want this. My neighbors don't want this. And we expect you guys to do the right thing. And also, if you try and do it again without legal notification, which you are required by state law to do, it's not going to be pretty, because I will fight you. I will go to the county. I will go to the state. I will take this as high as I can. Okay?
Brian?
Brian Hanley, 116 West 4th. I'm sorry to hear that there's so many problems with their property. Some landlords give other landlords a bad name. I don't know what to say about that. This project from the get-go, before I even purchased the lots, I knew what I wanted. I've never strayed from a shop that I'm going to live in. I haven't strayed from that. It's going to be a steel building. When I came to Chris about purchasing these lots, asked what I need to do. It's quite simple. I need to change zoning on it. And he put me on the path of the petition to rezone. And I asked him, what would I put on there? He says, put on there that it is to live on the property. That is what I plan to do with the property. I realize there's possibly I could die and get sold. I get that. I'm not in control of that. I have a neighbor that's worried that it's going to be apartments. He's got everybody convinced there's an apartment that's going in there. There's nothing wrong with apartments, but that's not what my intent is there. My neighbor already is zoned for apartments. His property could become an apartment building like that without even asking you anything. His lot is already R3 for an apartment. I've gone through this process to live on the property. I would think that if I somehow bait and switched and built something different, that you guys now, wait a minute, Brian, you put on here to live on the property, and would halt everything. As far as what I would put on the property is, call it a house, but it's shop and with living quarters in it. It is 2 lots plus extra land. Imagine, okay, let's just build 2 houses there. We're gonna build two-story, 2,000 square foot houses with a 3-stall garage in each one of them. We're talking about a lot of building. And the fact that it's M1, and this is where I think some of the confusion, setbacks, all this, I never say anything. I don't know what my setbacks are till I know what zoning I end up in, for sure. But the M1, even with the setbacks in M1, there you could afford over 14,000 square foot building to go up there. In M1, you're allowed to use anything in the lower categories except residence, okay? We know that. That's why Chris had me on this process of change zoning with Don Weideman and all that. And as far as the zoning, everything was hunky-dory and good. I guess, you know, if the board wasn't okay with this area and this idea moving forward, if everybody here said, ixnay, no, not gonna do it, then I'd be full, okay, I own these lots, it's M1. I'd build something that fits in M1. Then none of the neighbors in anywhere in blocks around would be happy with what would go in there. Imagine a large warehouse where I can rent out stalls to a diesel mechanic, small engine repair, this, RV storage, camper storage outside, all that can go there. But if I get to live there, it's gonna be much more pleasing to this neighborhood. And said and done, and I can take care of a property too. I don't know what else to say. I mean, from what day one when I started is my plan. It's not going to be apartments. I just, this whole rumor being spread around the neighborhood and scaring everybody. John Ventral has called me and is like, listen, I don't want you building apartments there. I'm like, I'm not. This is what this paperwork says. He says, well, this is what we're being told. And John does not want it. I get that. I get why none of them want it there, an apartment there. I get that. That's not what I'm doing. It's not where I'm going. I want to live there. I'm sorry you guys have gone through all this, but I don't get it. I guess this next option, nobody's going to like. As an M1, anything can go in there. Except for residential. I mean, the stinkiest, noisiest, and there's nothing anybody can do about it because it's zoned for that. Mr. Van Winchell has one. His is zoned M1. I've already approached him about switching it. Don Weideman wants to switch those last three. That's not our industrial park. It's somewhere else. Because I'm buying the property and next door to me is M1. Just like neighbor has. He bought a property right next to M1. I'm doing it. I want it changed. I want that lot changed because the noisiest, smelly business can go in there and there's nothing I can do about it. I'd rather have your residents. I appreciate your time, everyone.
So a couple points that Mr. Hamling's made has been brought up. I am the property owner that has R3. And if Mr. Hamling is worried about it, and if the neighbors are worried about it, the reason I bought R3 lot was so that I knew that no apartments could ever go in there. I will gladly, and I'm saying this on the record, rezone it and combine it with my house. I will put my money where my mouth is. The other thing that Mr. Hamling just said is, yes, I want to put a residence on there. He can't. Mr. Ward already said that. So now all we're rezoning for at this time, all we're rezoning for is the ability to put R3 in and to lessen the restrictions. I stated in the letter, we're not being unreasonable. He can gladly come around and try again when it allows what he's asking for. But until now, or until then, Mr. Ward said 6 to 8 months. So much can happen, and now we have a loaded gun sitting there. And if Mr. Hamling wants to threaten that you're not going to like what I put up there, how much of a neighbor is that? You're not going to like what I put up there. Really? So I have to live with a 50 by 90, 20 foot from me that he can't even live in, or 30 foot away, something I'm not going to like. That's how we're.
I got to ask you something. This thing just keeps going on and on. What's the perfect scenario for you? What's the perfect thing that would happen on that lot?
Honestly,
yeah, just
what it should have been done in the first place is rezone it to R1. Put a house on there, and if not, put a shop on there. But when you put a house on, you double the square footage. So now you have a shop and a house combined, and they're a pole barn.
Have you ever seen him make anything that looked like shit?
Okay, in 6 months, if this doesn't get rezoned, now we have B1 property sitting there, and at any time, and this is what the neighborhood's afraid of, is at any time, somebody could purchase those lots and put apartments up there. That's what everybody's worried about. I didn't say he was going to put up apartments. I said he could put up apartments.
Anybody could.
No.
Anybody could.
If they rezoned it and we would stop it. That's what we're trying to do now. Anybody could if once it goes B1. You are absolutely correct. You are correct. But right now, the only purpose to rezone this at this time, according to the ordinance, would be for R3 and less setbacks because he can't put a residence on there. So let's do the process right. Mr. Van Winchell said, so they're putting the cart before the horse. We're going to zone it B1, and then we're going to hope to change the ordinance, which actually I've talked to some people and they're like, they're changing the ordinance for this?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't mean to cut you off, but you got anything to do with rehashing what you just went?
no, I understand, but that's what I'm saying. He asked a question. What would you like to put on there? I mean, technically, it's a residential area. It should be a residence. Yes, it is M1, and you can put anything horrible you want up there. I hope he wouldn't. But right now, he can't put a house up there. So the purpose of rezoning is dead. It's dead. The purpose of rezoning is not valid. And so then we guaranteed have a smoking gun there because now we have R3 availability, right? So
Can I ask a question? Can you guys hear me? Can I ask a question? Can you hear me?
yes,
Okay, sorry. My question is, so you're against apartments, but if we allowed him to build this shop house, you're okay with what he wants to do. You're just against the apartments. Is that it, or you're against both?
we're against the apartments and the setbacks, and I do question I question the whole Shouse thing. I've talked to people in
Okay,
town.
so like I'm
They don't
talking
belong in
like let's
town.
say he puts in a reasonable shop and house. You're good with that. You're against the apartments.
I'm against the apartments,
that-
a giant
is that
building,
what you're saying?
right, and the setbacks. And initially, before we found out he can't even do this, what the neighbors were going to come up with, because we found out he could do R3, was according to state code, you can put amendments on this. And what we were going to ask is that we would agree, honestly, we would agree if he agreed to using industrial setbacks, the industrial setbacks, my 30 foot, so I get my 10 foot back guaranteed. Because remember, guys, these are big buildings. Can I get my extra 10 foot? I'm not being unreasonable. I really ain't, Brian. But if this is forced, but he can't do it. That's the thing, is he can't do it. But let's pretend he could. Let's pretend that in 8 months you guys get this, he goes back through. If he agreed, I'm not being unreasonable. If he agreed to put a stipulation, no R3 on the B1, which you can do according to state law, you can put amendments on there, and he agreed to give me my extra 10 foot, because it's a big building, honestly, I was willing to sign off on it until I found out that you guys were proceeding and he can't even do it.
Would all the other neighbors you talk to be okay with that?
Yes, we would agree, but you've got to stop the rezoning now, please. Get the ordinance changed properly. Brian, come around and knock on the doors. Please have a drawing this time. Show up and have the information. He's not, but it prevents misunderstandings.
I understand what you're saying,
Yes.
but you,
In a variance time, and that's the other thing too, is I would question that the city should probably change, instead of working to change the zone to appease Brian, why don't we change the process that says you have to, when I request a variance to build closer to my lot, I have to come to you and say, here's a drawing, here's what I'm gonna do.
That's not how that works for variance.
I've had to get them. I did construction.
Well, for variances, those go to the Board of Justice.
I understand that.
They do not come to the council.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you have to present it to the neighborhood with a drawing
Yes, you
and
do.
a scope of work.
Right.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. So for a variance, I have to present a drawing.
Yeah.
Yes, but for rezoning, I do not have to present a drawing to the neighborhood. To potentially put anything you want in B1, like you said, anything we agree to him build, he can do. That's scary. Then what's the point of putting on their shop house? Because it doesn't mean anything once it's rezoned. So in 6 months, 8 months, however long this process takes, let's start again. But right now, he can't put a shop house up. He can't. So there's no purpose. The thing that everybody signed, we took back because of that. It just can't happen. This needs to be denied and reapplied for once he can do that. And I'm not being unreasonable.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, like Brian stated, would you rather have a building that is used for construction, warehouse, without,
Why wouldn't you?
well, okay, just hang on. Would you rather have that, or would you rather have something that he is living in that he's going to take care of,
Honestly,
like a regular house?
I understand that. I'm gonna put up a fence, but I can't fence out a 16-foot sidewall with a big shop 20 foot. I get a little bit more, I get a little less shadow with 30. I understand that. I know what I'm dealing with here, but right now I have better setbacks. I have more protection to my house, guys. You wouldn't want it 20 foot from yours, neither would you. You guys have nice neighborhoods as well. You wouldn't want a 20-foot pole barn. Now I understand that I'm next to an M1 lot. I'm not a fool, but right now M1 allows actually more protection for building against residential and against building commercial industrial. If we could get those setbacks and eliminate the R3, and he can actually do it legally, then you have a different ballgame, don't you? But right now, he can't do it. And John Van Mitchell is not very happy that we're this far. John Van Mitchell's like, why are we having a public hearing? He cannot do the purpose that he rezoned for. It should have been stopped and killed right there because he cannot. It's like pulling over a car because it's a blue car and then saying, well, next week we're gonna make driving a blue car illegal. You don't get to do that. Come on.
We'll get through this and he can build with the required setbacks as long as the square footage is okay. I mean, you know, I know I've had discussions with you before about your where it's too big of a structure you're building.
And too close. And you guys have it. I mean, come on.
No. My question is,
okay.
Are you okay if it is zoned whatever and he is legally able to build that however big a square foot house? You're going to be okay with one?
Well, see, and here's the other thing that yeah. And I said that, yes. But but again, depends on what he's bringing to the table, you know. You guys want me to sign off plans on the scene, you know, without knowing what. Are you, so you're, I mean, what am I getting? How much of a building, you know?
Shop is going to live in, that would be as big as we can build on that lot. Okay. Legally. I mean,
Well, I can tell you this, she's not in agreement with it.
you wouldn't be in agreement with,
No, I was told it was gonna be a house almost identical to mine.
but you can't
This
control.
is what he told me.
Yeah,
He told me, he said, oh, I'm gonna build this big, beautiful new house.
but if it did get zoned to what you guys are, you know, the setbacks that you're talking about, the 30-foot setbacks instead of 20.
Okay, so what kind of traffic are we putting on 6th Street up there? Because you
That's
guys
what I'm
realize
mostly
that's a
worried
one-lane
about
road
is-
up there?
Right.
That's generally
You
what I'm worried
also have
about
to
is,
realize there's children
I'm
up
still
there.
trying to figure out what he's gonna be able to build that
Right,
is gonna
Yeah.
make you guys happy.
Right.
yeah, and,
Right.
and the first thing we want.
And
is
I would hope that
honesty.
this city
We want
council and
honesty
planning would.
first and
Right.
foremost.
Right.
We want to be told exactly what we're gonna be getting.
Well,
If you want to rezone, you should have to. I mean, you should have
But you
to.
can build, if it's a residence lot, it's a commercial lot, it's in,
Right.
you can read what you can.
Okay,
Bill,
I mean,
what
I
do you
need to
have?
call time out here. We're starting to stray. Here, we're here
Yep.
for public hearing on the
So
zoning change. I think you guys.
My point of that was,
I think it should.
select few things we can, that he would be able to build on there, I think, but.
Appease the neighborhood. Honestly, years ago, it should have been put back to R1, or it should have been sent to R1, but it wasn't done.
So question. If he built a house,
Mhm.
somewhat like hers, and then he built a big garage behind it.
Perfect. I put it in that 7-page report that nobody read, and I turned into the city. I said that. And that's actually the people that sold the property to him thought he was buying both those lots for that. And so did the neighbor,
Yes, we did. We
Yep.
all thought that.
because it said house and shop. That's when you state it like that. See that pause? So that's the thing. And that's where plans are important, guys. That's where being upfront is important. So whether it was intentional or not, it's just a pause in the word. A drawing helps, guys. And it should be required. It absolutely should. The city should take steps immediately to change the method of rezoning. And also, you should have to give to upon request, you should have to give them the zoning ordinance from the zone that they're going from to the zone they're going to, and that should be given to the homeowner that is signing.
And the neighborhood should be notified
Yeah. So,
7 days in advance of
Right.
zoning change.
but as of right now, it's a moot point because he can't build on it. He can't build what he's going to do on it.
Bob,
So,
is that an accurate statement in your legal opinion that right now?
I mean, why would you? Guys?
Yes, that's correct. I've been telling counsel this for I don't know how long.
And that's what I was
It
afraid
is-
of.
That is correct. And I have to say, probably Josh is right, that we probably put the cart before the horse here. And I will also say that I had a conversation with Don Weideman before that committee meeting, and I told Don that because he tried to tell me that it could be done with Brian, and I said, Don, it can't, and he paused on that and looked through the code book, and he said, yeah, Bob, you're right. So Don did agree with me on that.
This is ridiculous, guys.
I'm just telling you,
I'm
this
out.
is, and now we're on another path. Brian has gone, he understands because Chris has set out the procedure for changing the zoning to accommodate possibly what Brian wants to do, and that's the path that he's on. I think that, I guess it's up to, I don't know what the council wants to do at this point as far as this zoning ordinance. I mean, you can go ahead with the third reading. I think you have to have a 3/4 majority to overrule the protest. I think that's the case. But, or you can just pause on this until we get to the point where, you know, Brian is able to do what he wants to do.
All right. One last rebuttal to the rebuttal. And I'm
The
closing this
options.
public hearing.
No, I understand that. The amendment process has already started, right?
Well-
That's part of what you and Don Weiner were working on.
Right.
Okay.
I wrote that whole, it's
Okay.
14 steps.
So this is, from what I told, this is just part of the process. And that amendment is being written up that goes with this. The other thing is, he mentioned R1, he wishes with R1. Well, R1 puts him even closer to the lot line. It's 8-foot setbacks for R1.
With a 50 by 90?
I'm just saying, with R1, 8 foot is the setback. I don't know why somebody'd say they want a zoning that allows something to be closer to your lot line. That's just it.
So some things I know. We have committees in this town that we take recommendations from. We on council have them. If we serve anything they say, I might as well not have those committees. That's fact. We have them because we trust what their opinion is. Bob said he talked to them, and apparently they didn't like what he had to say, so they went through it. So be it. So right now, I'm going to close this public hearing if anybody has any more comments before I move on to the next part. Right? The public hearing is closed. I am not going to call for a vote on this third consideration. If we got a protest thing, I want you to go research it and find out what our next legal steps are, or if there are any, or what we're going to have to do, but I'm not calling for a vote. Not doing it. So. Anybody got a problem with that?
Table.
And I'm not even calling for the vote from the table. So.
With this, it's time to talk about what is it letting the neighborhood know, is that illegal? I mean, we do everything we're supposed to do with letting the neighborhood know we're thinking of rezoning that.
Or going around, that sort of thing, my understanding, yeah.
Yeah.
They're posting on front and the hearings and the meetings and that sort of thing. I know, I understand it was on Zoom at the time the planning and zoning met, so that was posted, and I know it was posted because I posted it on the board
And
myself.
that's what we're required to do is post it. We did that correctly.
As far as I know, that was all done correctly.
Should have told Mr. Sharm that.
I mean, sometimes we can speak up and we know that they're wrong, but all right.
So. Basically, this is just on pause now until we get some readings.
Yeah.
Or get you some legal stuff on it. So. Sorry, Brian. Thank you for your time. All right, moving on to old business. Now is time for public hearing on proposed GO bonds. Anybody want to talk about us borrowing $4 million?
Tiana, are you?
Yes. Love to talk about that. Uh-oh. I'm trying to, do you have the tabulation of bids from today?
I could go print that out. I've been so busy doing that. I believe Dave Grossclaw. Dave, are you there? Where's that Bob Johnson? The two right there. Let me go get the bid tabs. But that's real quick. But go ahead and tell them about our bid while I go get that tabulation.
Okay, so we did sell bonds today in the amount of $4,070,000. The bids came in at a 1.49, which is actually about 0.36% less than what I had anticipated. We were planning on a 185, so you got a 149. It's actually less than the bonds that you sold back in 2016. Those were 163, and what's interesting about that is those bonds were only 7 years long. These are 15 years, and you're still at just below 150. So the rates were really good. You did get 5 bids. Bankers Bank was the lowest bid. When you get the bid tab that Chris is going to give you, you'll see Bankers Bank, UMB Bank, D.A. Davidson, Northland, and Bernardi all bid. Actually, the first few bids are pretty close in terms of the rate that was offered. But I do recommend that you would award the bonds to Bankers Bank. I will point out that you received about almost $200,000 more in proceeds that you can spend on your street projects. I think those are the only couple things I wanted to point out. There weren't any other sales today that were in Iowa. I don't believe that were unrated to compare you to. But I did do another sale yesterday that was, or 2 days ago, that was in the 130s, but they were a much bigger issue and they were rated AA2. So I think that this is a really fair rate for the fact that you're a smaller unrated city with a smaller bond offering. Do you have any questions for me on the process or the results?
These are good. Lower interest rate gives us some more working capital. Just in case there are going to be, I guess, pop-ups of maybe some change orders may happen because, you know, that never happens on a street project. But yeah, the rates are really good. That true interest cost was lower than what, like Tiana said, lower than what was quoted earlier than before. I wish I could go to the bank and get an interest rate like this.
Well, good. Does anybody else want to speak during the public hearing on the proposed GO bonds? Anybody out there?
Nope, nobody is visiting on Zoom.
So I'm going to close the public hearing. I need a motion to approve a resolution awarding the sale and authorizing issuance of GO Bond Series 2020A. So motion by Hessen, go to the low bidder of Bankers Bank, Cedar Valley CDBG, seconded by Asenius. Any other questions? So for all those people who don't know, this is for some street projects and much needed upgrades in our equipment and trails. So it's going to go to some good use. Any questions? Anybody out there? Roll call, please.
Edwards,
Yes.
Elway,
Yes.
Carr,
Yeah.
Hessen,
Yes.
Stark. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Good deal.
Congratulations, Tiana.
Good job, Gianna.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
All right, now it's time for public hearing on SRF loan for the wastewater treatment plant. Anybody like to speak on that? So this is, if we go do this, it's, I guess nobody wants to talk about that. So I'm going to close the public hearing on the wastewater treatment plant. Now, moving on to old business. Number G, we need a motion to approve amending council meeting minutes of March 26, 2020, reference IPIB resolution.
Motion.
Motion by, second by Asenius.
We need to include the whole verbiage back to the meeting, so that will be included in tonight's meeting.
Like a
Yeah.
transcript, you mean?
The whole,
Yeah.
the word by word.
Will be filed with.
Yeah, we already passed the resolution. The whole process has been completed successfully. But they wanted the whole resolution set out in full in the minutes, so that's what we're doing.
That was required.
Yes, I kind of argued with him on and off here for quite some time, but it's like beating your head against the wall at this point. So we just need to do it, so that's what we're gonna do.
No, we're good with that.
Yeah.
So it was actually very informative, and I think we all learned a little bit.
Yes, we did.
So. Oh, yeah, we'll do a roll call,
Yes.
definitely.
Yes, please.
Roll call, please.
Stark,
Yes.
Cecilia.
Yes.
Carr.
Yeah.
Essen,
Yes.
Elway,
Yes.
Edwards.
Yes.
All right, moving on to item J, discuss the city hall roof repairs.
Chief asked about this.
Okay, Chief, are you
You
there?
hear me?
Yep, we can hear you, Ted.
For some reason, I've been kind of deemed the maintenance man for the city hall, but I know this topic has come up before. I believe Cindy has acquired a bid for the roof repairs. The last torrential downpour we had the other night, it was again leaking and coming down, pouring through the doorway that separates City Hall and the police department by Chris's office there. It's coming down at the corner there by Melissa Swan's office there on the council's side. If you look over there, it's kind of doming down even more so. So I just wouldn't mind having some attention for the roof.
Did you say you went out and got bids?
I was given a bid. I don't know if you guys wanted another bid, a second bid.
Well, we definitely gotta have a second bid. We gotta have something to cover it
Where'd
up.
you get it from?
No, it was Leslie.
Corey McKibben.
Corey, I think.
And what is it we're asking for? Are we asking for
A memory?
ideas on how to repair, to replace? What
I'm not
is?
I believe Corey submitted a bid as well as comments to the fact that the roof is at its entirety is in bad shape. A lot of the piping coming up and equipment up there, the roof sealant is pulling away from the surfaces of those pipes and equipment up there.
But he thought he could fix it.
I believe that was the estimate was for repair, not replacement.
Where is the estimate?
And Cindy should have that.
I'll have to find it. I don't have it.
Well, it's only one bid. We're not gonna do anything with it. I assume.
No, we definitely need another one.
But we need to do apples to apples. That's what, it's a little tough though, because I mean, I don't even know what kind of roof.
It's just a memory.
I would highly suggest Rouse.
Yeah, Roger. Dave Standard is the new one too.
Well, also the ventilation into the building is lacking. If you want to ask Mr. Ward, he had a bird that died up in his ceiling that became an issue.
Yeah, it was a sparrow that died above my head. Apparently, so had to have that removed.
So who comes up with the bid on something like this? I mean, how do we get apples to apples? I mean, Corey's.
Well, I don't know if it's ever gonna be apples. We know what kind of,
Well, that's what I mean.
Corey does a spray foam, everybody else will be able to
I
patch it.
think realistically, I think what we need to do is just replace the damn thing. It's been a problem ever since, oh hell, back when I was in business, the front wall fell in when we were redoing everything.
Oh, yeah. Been bad. Wall.
It's been bad for years. I think actually Tim Hefner and Ronnie Neve did this probably 20-some years ago. It's above us. On a weekend. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He's worked for Taylor. Maybe Wayne Carter up there. Okay. I just curious.
And I would seek out Mr. McKibben and those other two we talked about. Get quotes for repairing and stopping the leaks or just full replacement or whatever they want to do. Their means and methods are up to them. So.
Question, Chris, do we have anything in the budget? They'll be
You
next
did
well.
years ago, you did a couple of years ago.
Well, if you replace it, it's pretty spendy.
It's normally pretty standard.
But if you keep patching turd, it's gonna.
Patch and turn.
Yeah. Unless we have plans.
Some people want to turn.
Well, let's find out what they come back at. Maybe they all have a great idea how to seal it up quick. I saw that commercial.
Well,
Will that work?
We'll all get up there on the weekend with spray cans.
Hanging outside the box here.
Nate, you got something?
I was gonna say, I mean, the roof is what we're talking about now, but kind of walking through there, you know, if the roof's really expensive, I know of a dozen other things that need to be replaced in there too, and things would start adding up quite a bit in that city hall. So I think not only should we look at what they want to do to repair the roof, but maybe start putting some numbers together for everything else that's getting really old in city hall and see what's worth tackling.
You're on vacation.
Just to go off that.
Well, some people took offense to that, Nate.
Trying to replace me, aren't you?
It's just those pulses. I'm talking about them
We know the
pulses.
city hall is aging and we'll have to see start with the roof, see what we get for that. And maybe someday the discussion will have to be that we're gonna find a new home. So
Let me try to reconnect.
Craig said we could go out to the sewer plant and work with him. So, anybody else got some direction on that then, Cindy? All righty. Any other discussion on the leaky roof? Ted?
No, like Nate said, there's a lot of pieces of equipment in the city hall as a whole. The HVAC system totally needs a replacement, and ductwork and everything else. And sorry, I'm the bearer of bad news.
I got a drinking fountain sitting in my garage for here, but.
That's what I hear.
Anything else?
No, sir.
All right, I'll end the discussion. All right, now we're gonna move on to discussion on the business improvement grant application process.
Okay, I asked to have this on the agenda because there's been some confusion. It's my understanding, and after talking with Melissa, she cleared it up for me too. The hotel motel tax that is paid to the city, you get 75%, Melissa?
Right.
And then he gets 25% of that. So it looks like through November of 2019, we should have received roughly, is for this particular grant program, there should have been about $6,600.
We've received like 23,000, 17,000 has been distributed to BU. There's a balance of 5,800, which you have approved 4 businesses for $1,000 each.
Okay. So, and then has the May payment come in from the state yet?
Usually at the end of quarter.
They have on their website that the pay date is May 27th, and that the payment amount will be $13,425. $13,425. So we're almost a month past that pay date. We do have a few more applications coming in. And maybe we need to just revisit how the grants, maybe they shouldn't go to Chris, because Chris has a lot on his plate. So
I only received it once from the grant for a quarterly disbursement. So at the end, we're supposed to, that's when the grant time comes. The next quarter is going to be next week.
The reason this whole thing got brought up to me is because of the North Benton ambulance. And they submitted their grant application in January. And somehow they missed that first, somehow it got mixed.
And you never received it in January.
He did, and he copied me, he forwarded it to me and you again.
Okay. I got
In
that
April.
in time.
So I'm just thinking maybe it's Melissa and I can figure out a different way. The grant is being used there. It's absolutely exactly what we wanted it to be for. But maybe Melissa and I just need to figure out a different way to have them submit the application and a better way of communicating what the funds are. I don't know what everybody's thoughts. It's a little confusing, and it doesn't say in our application process. It says Vinton has money set aside from the hotel motel tax, but doesn't say percentage or anything, which doesn't really need to, but it's a little, I don't know.
But our share is
vague.
the 25%, is that it? That's what we get distributed.
The portion for the improvement grant is 25% of Melissa.
Yes.
The city keeps 25% of it for the city stuff. Melissa gets 75% and we get 25% of Melissa's. That's the way I'm understanding.
Oh, I understood that Melissa gets 75% of the total money collected. And the city gets 25% of the total money collected that goes towards this specifically. Our 25%.
So she gets 75, you get 75. So then we should have had for the first round $8,500, and we gave away $4. So we should have it.
No.
Yeah, according, if I'm looking at all the monies given to the city of Vinton from the state for the hotel motel tax.
She did research.
Yeah.
She did research ahead.
Well, I've been working with Liz. We're just trying to figure out a better way.
Yeah.
And it definitely looks like there should be a surplus.
So how's she wrong on that? Who?
I can tell you what we got at the bank. We've received $23,069.76. 75% of that is $17,302.32, which we've only distributed $17,233.92 to BU. There's $5,800 sitting there. $4,000 has been tagged for Tootsie's, the hair salon, the Pal Theater, and Custom Millwork.
Which were all the applications.
Which were the first four that were approved. That's going to be $1,000 each coming out of this balance of $5,800, leaving $1,800 to go potentially towards the next 3 applicants. And that's here at City Hall.
So Melissa, then the state's website is incorrect because just looking from August to February, and just let's back up, February is only showing $91. But there's over $35,000 there that they say that they have distributed to Vinton for the hotel motel tax.
But if
That would be adding what
that
you're talking
doesn't,
about in May.
that 35,000 counts for the 75%
Right.
I've gotten, and if we haven't gotten,
But Cindy's saying we haven't gotten 35,000 from the state.
But that's where they're coming up with it. That the money you haven't got yet, that they say they dispersed in May, if you add that to the other 20 something, that's 30 something.
No, I'm cutting this off at December, and they said up until December of 2019, they had sent us $35,000. The additional that they said they sent in May, or was going to pay on May 27th, apparently we haven't gotten. So, all right. So there's just a lot of confusion.
and as far as the 4 businesses that were approved, we have not written the checks to them yet. I think they have to tell Chris that the project is complete, you know, prove that it's complete, and then we'll be issuing the $1,000 to the board.
Well,
Not,
part
not
of,
as complete.
another issue I saw is that it does specify in the application that you can't already have started the work. So like the North Bend ambulance can't sign somebody up for a class that they don't know that they're going to be able to. But
And that was one of the things that I made a note of. You need to, somehow I think we need to make it so that you can start the project.
yeah, I think it
Before you
needs to, I think we need to specify that this is, if it's only going to be paid quarterly, we need to specify it's only going to be paid quarterly. And it does say in here first come, first served basis, but I don't know who to contact to follow up on the state funds, but it looks like we're missing quite a bit, according to their website.
So that have anything to do with it, that it got delayed for some reason too?
Well, I don't
Did it Take
know.
off when it was supposed to?
I don't know. I'm just going by what, they actually have a website that tells you every city in the,
Somebody you can actually talk to.
no, I just talk to Melissa. She's my go-to.
Well, I would make a suggestion you keep talking to Melissa and come back with an answer here.
We
before
will
it's
put
all.
our heads together again and
But
figure
the
it
other
out.
issue is, it's a little tough that you can't apply for this if you've already started the work.
Yes.
So at some point,
Yes.
might have to figure that out. Who put this originally together? Was it a committee or was it?
It was Melissa's brainchild
Okay.
and
We all tweaked it.
yes.
Actually good, I like it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very good. I
very
love I don't want anybody to fall through the cracks, and the state's website is misleading, and we should follow up on that. Because it looks like there's a lot of money out there we haven't received, if we've only received 25 and change.
It almost seems like we need to disperse. I know we only get the check quarterly, right? But if we don't use all the funds, it seems like there should be a way for us to meet again within the quarter to disperse.
Yeah, because it
leftover
says
funds.
it's at our discretion.
Oh, so it's in
Yeah.
there already?
Yeah.
Okay, so you understand it that way? Okay.
But it is a good program. It looks like there should be more funds out there. But again, we've been dealing with the state government for quite a while on certain other things, so I guess I'm not too surprised.
What happened to our fancy internet?
It's working.
Nate, you still there?
Yes, he
Yeah.
is. Just muted, the kids are being loud.
Ah,
Can
okay.
you still see me?
They're crying.
He's there. He can see us. It's
All right.
us
All
not
right, so Tammy's gonna work with Melissa and get this thing cleaned up, bring it back to the council for some more discussion at the next council meeting.
Well, see what happens.
Well, we gotta get figured out. I mean,
No, I can check with the state and see if they say that we've got money that are,
Yeah, because, I mean, it even tells you the pay date on there, so. Thank you guys for your input. A little bit.
All right, since we're in a nice talkative discussion mood, let's move on to discuss the real estate at 114 West 3rd Street.
Where's that?
Right here.
Right there.
Nate,
Yep.
that, I believe you asked for that to be on the agenda, correct?
Yep. My only thought on this one was just to discuss it, because when you are a commercial property, it might be always a good idea to discuss buying the property next to you. At least a discussion. I don't know what we would do with it. I don't know. I have no idea. What I don't want to see is it be I don't know, someone brought up a tattoo parlor, or I don't know. I mean, not that I'm against tattoos, but I don't know, just a discussion. So I don't even know how much it is, but is there my only thought was, is there anybody think that we should buy it for parking, an extra office, anything? Is there anybody that think it would be worth it? That was the only reason I put it on. Most because I had a gentleman bring it up to me. So
Well, out of curiosity, what does VMEU pay for rent to Rick and Yvonne?
I think it's 700.
For rent?
I believe the price on it's maybe 160s, 80s, 50s, 50s.
I think it's 145.
Oh, really? Oh,
I have a sheet
I was gonna say
at home,
129.
but I don't.
Okay. Well, they
Not
probably
like I
take
work
one.
there, right?
Well, 700
that would,
Not
your
really.
mortgage would be less than 700.
That's
Still doesn't
the
work.
point, is
Yeah, no,
Still doesn't work.
it doesn't work very well. I mean, the time to buy when it's for sale, obviously, so yeah, we should have a discussion if it fits our future.
If it does, in between fixing the roof, fixing the HVAC system and
The only thing and this, again, top of my head, the COVID stuff going on, is the life gonna change where we need separate for the community from offices, you know, I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. That's what I can think of is the community wouldn't be in this building anymore, this is more offices, and that is where you have all the, customers come in and pay utilities and such. Now, I'm not saying it's a good idea, I just thought I'd bring it up.
Or Nathan could buy this, turn it into elderly apartments and use that for his office.
they're talking, we'll go out and build your city hall.
Do you want this to go to a committee meeting or general government?
Only if
At this time, if we're talking all the problems with this building, really, we ought to start looking at the future and thinking about moving. And if we buy another property right next to this, could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Could be a corner lot for somebody to tear them down and build something neat, but
Like a shout.
if we're happy with our location, and the idea is eventually this comes down and that could be used at that point, then obviously, does anybody, has been any discussion on future of City Hall as far as location wise?
Just
not officially.
not official. Okay.
Bud has dreams.
I have dreams.
I have ideas.
I would see it back downtown.
Yeah.
A little more accessible to everybody. Nice vacant lot down there somewhere that I've seen a couple times. I thought would make a great spot for it. So
I heard people say that it'd be great to tear it down because we need more parking, but I think $150,000 for a parking lot is
Crazy.
pricey. So and to be honest, I think there needs to be something done to encourage business owners and or employees to park in the municipal lots that we and the public parking we already have.
we've done that in the past.
And I get that, and that's kind of my point, that we do that. We've got a municipal lot over here that we ended up putting fiber cabinets in because people don't use it. And we've got parking right in front of Fairway for a whole block that is used sometimes. And, if we're serious about wanting people to park, wanting customers to have spots in front of our businesses, then I think that we should be parking away from our businesses. Now, I will be the first to say that when I pull up into my office in the morning, I park in front, but you know, I hear a whole lot about people parking in front of my building. I don't have a lot of traffic there. So,
We could probably trace this to the original Benton Unlimited. Parking was a huge issue when I was on Benton Unlimited, and I'm sure you inherited, and I'm sure Melissa hears about it all the time. I'm
Number one, the city shouldn't own any more real estate than absolutely necessary.
not for
Well,
that.
but if there's a chance that City Hall is going to stay here and it's going to be City Hall in this location, then there is a reason to consider buying this, but that's not even.
That's so far down the road though.
Okay, that's.
Just borrowed $4 million.
Asper Streets.
Streets.
If it's important to be downtown,
This is downtown. I don't know.
All right.
I think that needs to come up when we start doing our long-term capital planning and.
We're taking more out of the tax base too. They always do that.
Well, if we build down there,
Anytime the city acquires something, no, it goes off the tax.
but if we build down there, then that's the same thing.
Just go in there, whether it be a tattoo shop or
Maybe
whatever it be.
the DMEU and I Benton could go in there with my,
Yes.
that's $700
Yeah, exactly.
taxpayer money being
And
thrown
that
out the
gives us
window for
time.
rent.
That gives us an
That's not
opportunity to
taxpayer
own
money,
something.
though, that's BMU.
It can spin its wheels and not make us money,
That's
not lose
not
us money. And we
But the revenues from the people.
Well, yeah, it comes from the people.
Yeah.
but
They
it's
got
not
all the
tax.
money. let them
Ratepayers,
buy it.
right?
Ratepayer,
Yeah.
ratepayer, yeah. There's the term I was looking for.
Revenue, they're not.
Yeah.
Ratepayers are different than citizens, right?
So I think the first step is get back into our comprehensive plan of what we're gonna be doing here as a city for the next 3, 5, 10 years, so we can see where we're heading. Maybe get that part, and maybe City Hall probably have to be part of that discussion.
We got a lot of infrastructure to worry about at the moment.
Yeah, I do.
Fixing a leak is the least of our problem.
Are you hearing everything, Nate?
Yeah. Yep, I hear you. I agree with Bud on that one.
Nate?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can see.
You can?
Yeah, he's up there.
Oh,
Oh,
It got really choppy.
Moving on, need to discuss a sump pump connection at 1307 G Avenue.
Great. We brought it up last fall. And
Is that the one we're gonna run down the street and tie in the back of the storm intake
Street, yeah.
where they were, or allow them to do that?
Yes, we allowed them to dump it into the sanitary over the winter time, and then it was gonna be brought up this spring for future, what we're gonna do. So what are we discussing? What are we discussing then?
well, he made a bad real estate transaction and they weren't not truthful in their disclosures and he got
So we-
screwed.
Yeah, so we told them they could.
Yep.
Run to the sanitary for a while.
And it was
Over the winter
temporary,
because it was getting a
and
frozen.
then permanently dig it in, right?
Right.
So have they dug it in yet?
That's what,
They're ready to.
Oh, they want, are we paying for it?
They, no, they're not paying for it.
we're just giving them permission to dig it.
Oh. And you'll follow up on that and make sure they do.
They did not ask about it, I just. Oh, you need to go.
Can you go visit with them? Say, now's the time.
I mean, is that
My
something
stick.
we're requiring, right? Because it's a temporary deal.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I think they do have their ducks ready to go.
Then, okay. We don't want to go through another winter.
Last couple weekends of rain.
You gonna follow up then, Mr.
Yeah,
Walker?
I will talk to him.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Let us know back. All right, moving on to new business. I need a motion to approve the ordinance amending provisions pertaining to golf carts.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Hessen, seconded by Stark. Keith? Dad?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
I just wanted to align the golf carts with the UTVs. When we did the UTVs, I wanted that the wording the same for his operation of both ATVs and golf cart or UTVs and golf carts to be the same, so that we don't have any confusion on where they can ride within our city. I think the wording in the golf cart was an extension of a main highway, and that was considered extending 3rd Street 150 all the way to K Avenue, then east all the way to 9th, just like for the UTVs. Unless you guys want something different, I guess now's the time to, if you want to talk about that. I know Mr. Parr would probably a little bit more. Maybe now's the time to discuss that and go from there. So, but I'm just asking to for discussion to include that wording that you have in front of you.
Ted, you brought this up as in you're recommending this change.
Yes, like I said, I wanted both
Same for you.
golf carts and UTVs to have the same operation areas within our community. I've had several individuals ask if they can ride on 3rd Street. I said, you can't ride on 3rd Street from K Avenue to 9th Avenue in its entirety. You can't for golf carts and or UTVs. You can cross it, but you can't be on it.
What about 4th Street Boulevard, right? You can't do that either.
Yeah, the boulevard you cannot be on 4th Street. I believe it starts at 3rd Avenue or 2nd Avenue, 3rd Avenue.
Take portion all the way up to 18.
Yeah. But the problem is just that boulevard part.
Yeah.
Just,
You can't pass very
Jeff, being as we have that 3rd Street ambulance route, you think it's still necessary to cut the boulevard off?
The only reason that we kept the boulevard is because it's 1 lane.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Can't go past.
I was going over the speed limit, I'll admit, and some gal passed me and then turned right in front of me in a half a block.
Why would Tammy do that?
I was just gonna say,
I was going,
I don't think he's on.
you know, things like that piss me off.
I don't have any issues bringing them into alignment with each other.
We're looking to add 3rd Street from 9th Avenue to K Avenue. Yep.
That's always been that way.
All the way.
You say it's always been that way.
For golf carts.
For golf carts, he wants to
I'm
add
sorry, for UTVs.
UTVs. Now we're adding it for golf carts.
Yeah.
From 9th Avenue to K Avenue.
He's just making it the wording. It's always been that way.
I don't.
It's just
know.
It's always been that way. I just wanted the wording in there so that it doesn't confuse
The
people.
only problem, the only issue, I mean, driving in town all day, 3rd Street's plenty wide to safely pass a golf cart.
It's just that we want them to be stay off of 150.
Yeah, you can really go fast on that road too.
Yeah, I don't.
Any other discussion?
No.
Is this a roll call? Thank you. Roll call.
Essen,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Barr,
Yep.
Elway,
Yes.
Cassinius,
Yes.
Stark.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to new business, item C. Need a motion to approve resolution setting salaries and compensation for supervisor, supervision, management, part-time employees for fiscal year 2020 to 2021.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Pell.
Second.
Second by Mr. Senius. Discussion.
We did add the part-time clerical person into this. I believe the union will no longer be, the clerical union will no longer exist starting July.
Have we got an official notification of that?
No.
And then I can't clear on that until we get official notification.
Correct.
She gave her official notification, didn't she?
We have.
But we've not received it from the team.
Actually, both of them.
Both of them.
Both of them.
Requested to withdraw. But we've not got an official notification from the union that that has happened.
Do we always do this by a resolution?
Yes.
Is it 3% across the board? Okay. Just want to, that's not what we asked for, but that's okay.
It seemed like we discussed some other stuff at budget time.
This one also includes the police sergeant and the These are things for the system.
So knowing I can't do anything with the utility billing clerk,
Right. You can amend the resolution for that.
so let's see, people. And then what's your recommendation?
I'm not comfortable talking about salaries on public.
How much time to do it?
Well, there is better time to do it. Before, when we had time, when we could have had time to make the adjustments before it came to us as a resolution, it would have been a better time to do it.
So I guess what they're all trying to say here, and I'll just, nobody else wants to say it. We had talked about this at budget time, that Cindy, we were talking about giving you a 1.5% raise. And Chris, I think we're around that 2 to 2.5% raise. That's what the choices we were going to do. And those are not reflected upon here.
Okay, now, my question is that something that council voted on? Because I don't remember council voting on that. But we can withdraw the resolution, have council do that as an actual policy to do that.
Explain to me the difference between a resolution and a policy then.
Well, typically, when you have a policy, something like this, typically council ahead of time goes ahead and votes on this, and they vote on it in open session ahead of time, beforehand on this. The question is, well, I don't ever remember it being brought up in front of the council to discuss in a public meeting before. I don't believe it was ever on the agenda to do that.
It wasn't during budget.
It was
When we were talking
We did talk about it during budget.
during budget,
budget, but for
which is
this,
public.
which it has to be an item on the agenda for council to vote on. And it's typically how it's done whenever there's any kind of adjustments on salaries, that sort of thing.
But I know what we're doing right now.
Yes, and you could make those adjustments right now. Amend the ordinance, amend the resolution right now.
So I'm not sure that answered the question on Nathan's policy versus resolution. When would we have had the policy discussion
Well, the policy
to
discussion,
proceed this?
the policy discussion is going to be the same kind of discussion you have had with your council rules and procedures type of situation. If you wanted to change the policy from what has been done in the past, then a resolution would have been, or a resolution saying this is going to be our standard change in policy ahead of time to do that.
So are you saying that this is policy now, is 3% across the board policy?
The policy has been what has been in the past, has been whatever the unions have been doing. It's been what the policy was, whatever the unions were doing, that's what the department heads have got. If you wish to change that, you can do that as a resolution to change that.
We didn't, although we haven't gotten any word back from our police union, but we didn't go with 3% for the police.
Yes, we did.
That would have been
Which is 3%.
On the third year.
Yeah, it's 3% across all the way down. We made the same concessions as we did with the street department for getting rid of the longevity.
And this went on
And that
during
policy
budget
was
talks.
established before I was
Whole
here.
council. This went on during the budget
Mhm.
talk for the whole council. You got
So they budgeted up to a 3% raise for all supervision, management, non-bargaining people. So it's up to 3%.
that can always, like I said, council wishes, they can always change that. That's not an issue.
That was part of it, but they, at some point, stressed to you that that was what they would like, is the 2.5% and 1.5% raise at some point.
Yes, that was just in an email, I believe. It was just, it wasn't from all the council members. It was just from 2 members of the board. When you have something like that, it would be proper for everybody to do this.
Just
open
going
meeting.
forward, I suppose the thing would be is do your best to respond. The way to do this is then to do it this way, I guess. I don't know. That's what apparently they're trying to get.
Because I had no idea it was a council decision to go that, to make a change from what has been done in years past. So my apologies. I did not see it on the agenda or anything like that.
But I don't think they realized they had to go that way. It's a problem. But now they do, or we do, I should say.
So what say you people?
Is there a scenario where it's a smaller percentage for 6 months and reevaluate at that point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can do that.
That'd be a compromise.
Okay, compromise.
Yeah.
What's the compromise?
So
Well, if we do the what was recommended, 1.5, 2 or 2.5, whatever, for 6 months. Since we just had these reviews here not that long ago, and after 6 months, we do another review, see where things are at, and jack up 3%. Good point. Good point. Yeah. Well, does that sound right?
And is that doable, Bob? No, look at Chris. This is you.
It's doable. I mean, I think here again, I've always known this to just be set forth in the resolution. Usually you do it for the fiscal year. I mean, that's what's probably standard. I understand what Chris is saying. And I guess I wasn't privy to that, to that method, that's what it always has been, but apparently that's what it, whatever you've given everybody else, that's what it is for department heads. But we've always done this by resolution every year.
Well, I know to set the salary.
Right.
But what that salary increase is, well, are we just matching it because that's what we've always done?
Our concern is that if it just becomes automatic, that's not good.
No, and you
You know,
can't, I mean,
it's
it's up to the council how you want to do this. I guess you can structure it the way you want. I think what Chris is saying is that you should set a policy as to how you're going to have these pay increases each year. If it's not going to be tied in with the others, then it needs to be set forth that way. I think that's what Chris is just trying to say.
So what he says on his memo was, the city of Benton by resolution approved the cost of living for department heads at the same rate as what's been negotiated by the union. Is that fact?
I can't say it's, I don't know what's, I don't recall what's been done in the past.
I seem to remember when in the past, when we have looked at not necessarily Chris's, but like Andy's, and Cindy's, it came up as a number on the resolution, what they were gonna go up to, if I'm remembering correctly, from say 10,000 to 15,000. Do you remember that, Bud?
I remember when Cindy became a department had increased greatly. And I think when you were hired, didn't you have like a 6 or 7% increase after 6 months?
Yeah.
You had quite a jump after 6 months. That was part of your agreement.
Okay.
And yeah, I remember I wasn't here then, so.
Right.
So.
Yeah, you left. You left, man.
Like I said, I'm just trying to remember. I don't remember doing this before, but I can remember going from X amount of dollars to X amount of dollars.
I just remember that, well,
The last couple
to
of
the
years,
best of my recollection, that it's been 3% every year without,
Yes, it is, because every year, I think.
but I also know that some of the police union contracts at one point was like a dime on their third year, which was not a 3%. You guys still got a 3%. So saying that we're following what the unions negotiated is probably not quite true.
That's correct. Okay.
well, I think we've been discussing for several years about some sort of review process and when are we going to get this in place. I think we now have that done at least once. It seems like maybe we take that as the first time we give it a shot and do 1.5 and
6 months.
yeah, 6 months and
1.5%, 2% for 6 months and
review and try and do at that point reevaluate to see if 3% is
I know we have this discussion every year because the private sector is not automatically guaranteed 3%. And it just blows me away that we just sweepingly give it every year. So, but I like that amendment.
Well, the motion on the table is to approve as is, and the second.
how do you amend this?
So they have to withdraw their other.
I think so, yeah.
Yep. So they have to withdraw. You made the motion.
And my second. Rescind my second.
So for the discussion, I'd be looking for a motion that the administrator receive a 2% raise for the next 6 months with a review at that time, and the city clerk get a 1.5% raise for the next 6 months with a review at the 6 months, and all else gets the 3% across the board. Is that what I'm understanding?
What do you
Those
want?
numbers, there's the stuff up for.
Yes. So that would be our final meeting in December. Sometime that.
6 months after July 1.
So we need to have a review a couple weeks before that, beginning of December. And then just decide what we'll be doing in December.
And do we take the utility billing clerk out?
Yeah, and we have to take utility billing clerk out until which time, because we might have a special meeting to talk about her. So
she gets nothing?
we can't negotiate her wage because right now we assume she's still part of the union.
But we do know that they sent letters, both of them sent letters.
But until you get official notification from the union, there's not much I can do.
Are dues taken out of her check?
Pardon?
Are dues taken out of her check?
Yes.
So she's still part of the union.
Well, that's just July. I mean, we're still in June and I don't think she's.
What happens if they don't send us the notification until December?
Well, if she gives you written notification that she's
Yes.
withdrawing from the union and to the union as well. And I mean, that doesn't suffice.
No, it has to come from the Teamsters themselves.
They've been a treat to deal with. They're very punctual people.
So it's dead in the water.
That's, yeah, pretty much.
Because they're not going to want it to disband, but you can't have a zero.
Right.
So, but until, like I said, I think our hands are tied, as a lot of things are, until we get that official notification. I can't do anything with her. So she still would be binding under whatever that union contract was that they said happened last year when we signed it, so. So I threw it out there. I never heard a motion or anything, so.
Oh, motion. I thought you did.
Second.
Sorry.
So motion by Stark, second by Hessen, to remove the utility billing clerk off of the pay until which time she's not part of the union officially. The amended wages for the city administrator and city clerk for the first 6 months of the fiscal year. Any other questions? Roll call.
Elway,
Yes.
Carr.
Yeah.
Stark. Yes. Edwards,
Yes.
Essen,
Yes.
Messina, yes.
All right. Oops. All right, now we need a motion to approve a resolution to transfer from the emergency fund to the general fund.
Second.
Motion by Stark, second by Senius. What do we got here?
Budgeted transfer the balance of the emergency fund to the general.
This is just what was left over for the fiscal year and it goes back, you know.
It's just bring it into emergency fund, but then we transfer to general.
That emergency funds be used for a new budget. No.
What if it's raining and it's saying?
Sorry.
They picked up an extra $200,000 on this Geo bond.
Can't use it for that.
Huh?
Can't use it for that.
Oh, well, thought.
It was a good one.
Good thought though.
You always cuts my thoughts down.
I apologize.
You didn't.
Is there any other discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Carr.
Yeah.
Essen.
Yeah.
Edwards,
Yep.
Elway,
Yes.
Senius,
Good.
Stark.
Yes.
All right, now I need a motion to approve the resolution to transfer of the FICA and HIPERS and employee benefits to the general fund.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Essen, seconded by Elwick. Same deal.
Same deal.
Any questions? Roll call.
Elway,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yep.
Carr.
Yeah.
Essen,
Yes.
Messina,
Yep.
Stark.
Yes.
I'm sure we need that money for the road.
Yes. We're gonna use this next money for the roof, so I need a motion to approve the repairs and manhole installation. Motion.
Yeah. I'll make a motion. Second.
Motion by Senior, seconded by Elwick. Mr. Walker, what do you got going on?
When B&K was surveying for the force main from the old main lift, they discovered a manhole that was plugged. And so the guys went up and cleaned it out. We discovered that it was a sanitary line, which none of our predecessors knew about it either. So we decided to have Roto-Rooter come in and televise it. And the one block, they found at least 3 different spots where a big chunk of the tile had fallen out of the top. And the cameraman or whatever, recommended that we, that'd be a good line to have lined, which would probably be cheaper than fixing it. And then I got you a map. I don't know if you can really see it very well, but it angles across 5th Street to the alley, and then right where it makes that 45-degree bend, there's no manhole, and we cannot get our jet machine up there to clean that line out. And there's at least 2 services going down that alley that's tied into it. I think there's one service on 5th Street, and I think there's a couple that's on 6th Avenue between 4th and 5th that tie into it. So it is an active main, and
none of these people are complaining about
I'm
that.
just a dumb old electrician, but I mean, how could he active if it was plugged? I don't explain that to me.
unless it just recently fell in or what, but I don't know.
If there's not that many people on it, you don't have that much usage, so
Don't you
if
have
it's,
a
yeah, it's up.
The water will seep away, but
Yeah, the
the
water will
solids
seep away, the solids will sit there.
Yeah,
And how big a main is it?
that's an 8-inch.
Oh, quite a bit.
Yeah. I've seen a 4-inch hold a trailer cord over by the Braille School once. Check it out, it's really.
You don't want to know. So have you gotten estimates on this, or?
I talked to Nathan from Roto-Rooter, and to completely line it would be about $48 a foot. He's a little concerned, we don't know for sure about those holes. If he were to come in and patch those holes, it'd be like $3,500 per patch, because then they put in a 8-foot thicker liner, just to support that. We could potentially have somebody dig down right on top of them and then just put a temporary patch on it, just to cover it up so it makes somewhat of a pipe, and then they could line it, and then it'd be, permanent there.
How deep?
It was about 12 foot deep, so
That's not you.
so that's not us, no. We had to have
So do
somebody
you plan on just slip lining it or bursting it?
slip, or just slip line, just to repair, just to reline it or whatever. We'd have to clean it out good, of course, but
Oh, so the answer is gonna line it.
yeah.
Sure.
Well, that's one option. It'd be cheaper than replacing it.
How many feet was it?
Well, probably 2.5 blocks, so roughly 1,000 feet.
$48,000
What it goes to.
plus the manhole. So we're looking about 55K.
We wouldn't necessarily have to line the other far south block and a half, because there wasn't any voids or major cracks, but that first block, something needs to be done with it, or at least patch in, I guess, that'd be one.
Who's gonna do the manhole?
We could get bids.
What'd the rest of the tile look like other than those two spots?
Oh, decent. I mean, you go down the alley and there's a lot of roots coming in there.
How far apart between the two breaks?
Seemed like they were all within about the first 20, 30 feet from Fifth Street, from the Fifth Street manhole. But I'd have to double check.
So I guess,
To me, it's cheaper to go down to a point repair than.
yeah, you can repair those from this point to this point. Dig it up, repair it. If the rest of it looks good, we can still put the manhole in.
Right.
Where's the bad spot in the alley?
No, it's in the parking on 6th Avenue.
That's gonna make a big mess.
Everything I do.
Yeah. Trees in the way.
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's any trees in that parking lot. It's just deep.
But I think it'd be more cost effective right now just to repair that section rather than slip lining, because they're still gonna have to do something to try to.
Yeah, they gotta get those pieces up anyhow.
Yeah.
They can slip line.
Yeah.
Like I said, his other option is to burst it, which that's pretty costly. So.
Then we could look at slip lining at a later date. But if you say the rest of it doesn't look too bad, then
I mean, there's some, wider joints, but
it can't be worse than
it
downtown.
can't be worse than the rest of town, so.
It's a long meeting. I'm gonna make it 1 minute longer. Early 1900s, they drained the pond up in that area along the tracks. And they dug a drain in exactly where you're talking, all the way down to the river, and that's how they drained that pond, because they're going through that's where we were getting our city water at the time, and they were worried it was polluting, the standing water was polluting the city water, so they dug in a huge drain from
they actually described where it goes. And it went through that alley, I believe. And they said at the time it was 16 foot deep. I just want to make sure this is an active sewer line. Early 1900s. There was ponds, a series of ponds up along railroad tracks in the 1800s, early 1900s. But I just want to, it's the same area.
It dead ends at 6th Street, but it's only 8 inch, so I don't know if that is.
Look at the historic.
Yeah. So that's a minute of history for you.
Thank you.
You think they shored those trenches up when they were digging?
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet it was wide open. There wasn't any buildings there or anything. Interesting. So I guess the question is go out and get bids on a point repair and manhole and.
Does that make sense to you, Greg? I mean,
Yeah, money wise, yeah. At some point, we need to.
Well, no matter what, you have to go down and fix the 2 collapse spots
Right.
anyhow before they can slip
Yeah,
line. So you
right.
might as well just go down and fix them. And if the rest of us in good shape, then
If it's close enough, just replace a big long section of it.
yeah, we just did it out the REC. Right. So same deal. So is that an emergency thing since it was blocked? No, that would not be.
We got 200,000 though.
That you possibly could.
Yes. I don't know if you have to have official drawings for that, do you? Or might not hurt. You get the camera footage from Nate.
I got it.
Get with Nate at Fairgram and see if he wants to put something up quick.
I don't know that you need to do that.
I don't know. I just, if it depends how much he's gonna put out the bid. If it's just the one, I'm not overly concerned about it.
Right.
Should be able to get it done for less than $20,000, I would think.
Chris, usually like city repairs on a building like this just comes out of the general fund. Which has very little money in it.
With our lost funds.
Craig, is that a 3.5 inch floppy disk or is that a 5 inch?
I think it's still 5.
5.
Smile. Thank you.
is it nice outside?
Hot out there. Humid. I'll be right back.
So I guess we're approving you to go out and get bids, I guess is what we're
Just
saying.
bring it back.
Yep,
Okay. 2 or 3?
yep. I think Pierce Tobin's just right up the road in Urbana. Might be a good one to go hit up. Tell me what else is working around. Plus, of course, our local guys. So. Now wait for Cammy. Do I need to? No.
No. Go ahead.
All right. Roll call. Is that a roll call since there's money involved, or we just
Or
ask?
you just get bids.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
All those opposed? Hearing none. All right. Now I need a motion to approve a request from the Parks and Recreation to block a street for farmer's market.
Second.
Motion by Hess and second by Carr. Matt on there? or-
No, Matt's not here.
So I think in my discussion of this, since they want to move the farmer's market down to Celebration Park, they want to block off the street right there to make people get in and out of there. So, Chief, you don't have a problem with that, do you?
No, I do not. I was just gonna ask where they're gonna relocate that, but I know they had the farmers market there last year, and it went well, I thought.
I had the farmer's market down there last year.
Perfect. Any other discussion on that? Roll call, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, I need a motion to approve a request for a party and pink 5K route and street closings on July 31st. Motion by Farr, second by Asenius. Chief, did you look at the route?
Yes, I spoke with Robin. It should not be an issue.
Seem you'll be there with bells and whistles on and helping them out.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion on that? All those in favor? Now it's time to set a special council meeting for June 30th, 2020. So we got some unfinished business we have to take care of on that day, I believe.
Yep, community development block grant.
Community development block grant. Will there be anything else on there? If it does, we'll know by Monday morning. I would assume. So, June 30th, 7 p.m. Right here. That work for you? Work for everybody?
Bowling alley.
Yep.
Good deal. So we'll have a special council meeting June 30th, 7 p.m. City Hall. All those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Mr. Ward,
Is Nate gonna be back by then?
Yeah.
Yes,
Nate, are you going on another vacation Monday?
maybe. I might not come back ever. Just kidding.
Ozarks.
All right, Chris, you're up.
Just taking this bear busy as always, getting this stuff here. Also, getting down to the last, it's an developer's agreement for the Braille School project. Was working with Anderson Creek also with sidewalk, mailbox, and elevations for fiber optic the last couple of weeks as well for there. So just Virginia's retired now, so we have Jeanette, who you met, and her turnout was very well received.
Tomorrow's your last day, right?
No,
What's 26th?
well,
She's on vacation.
She's on vacation. That's all I have.
Chief?
I don't know if you council have heard that we had a rash of car windows broke out, had a hotel window broke out. That happened a few days ago. We are going to be wrapping up our investigation on that, and we'll have a resolve here shortly.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Successfully resolved?
Yes, sir.
Good. Anything else you got cooking?
I've got nothing else. I think we already talked about the ordinances, so I'm good.
All right. Mr. Walker? You can make it quit raining. Be all right. I'm with you, brother.
Well, a couple nights. You
Is
want to meet
the,
Saturday morning too, or what's that? You want to come Saturday morning too, or?
Is the alternate brush dump open?
Down at Hanson
Yeah.
Boulevard, yeah. Well, I saw some people dumping trees.
I talked to Scott the other day, and he said that as of yet, he did not have an alternate site yet.
Oh, there's trees dumped over there. It was the middle of the afternoon.
Scotty on there?
No.
Okay. Cindy?
I didn't send out a text message about grass clippings.
No, that was
Yeah,
great.
fantastic.
Yeah, I forwarded that on
I
there.
was, I did not, and what was the other one?
The brush dump was closed.
The
Yeah,
brush, okay, brush dump.
high water.
We have Girl Scout troop will be doing some sidewalk chalk art out front, I believe, soon. I hope that's okay. I said, there's Mrs. Hess.
They're going around to different businesses. They ask different businesses if they could.
You're Mrs. Hudson?
My Mrs. Hudson, yes.
And then Nate Katz called the other day. He's going to be sending out bids. Did he talk to you, Chris, about this? Nate Katz with the street project, setting out bids June 29th, bid letting July 17th. On the July 9th council date, they'll be setting a public hearing for July 23rd for the actual bids or accepting the bids at that point.
Yep.
So that was kind of the timeline that he explained to me. And been talking with a company about online bill pay. Communications office is getting questions or requests for online bill pay. So we're kind of looking into that. I think that's something the more and more people are wanting. The trustees kind of look at it, but we do have a company would do that. They also would do printing the statements, folding and stuffing and setting it out. We wouldn't have to process it here. And so that might be an option to investigate more. So.
You just got that new postage machine.
Well, the whole, yeah, that was really nice for some, payments and, but that's in kind of in the future, but I think we'll be doing online billing at some point.
Fantastic.
Yes.
That was it. So, all righty. The Burial School's been occupying a lot of time. Super close. Hopefully have a resolution here soon. So,
I told Melissa on the way in, whoever put that summary together did a great job.
They have done it now. That committee has done.
Yeah, that is an excellent summary. Please don't print it again for our next packet if we need it.
But the purchase agreement.
We just that whole packet.
question and
If we can
answer.
just keep it, everybody keep yours, unless you need to.
No, you go ahead.
I put mine in my desk.
Yeah.
That is an awesome read. You guys been working hard, Melissa. Bud, sorry.
I mean, that would be all the people around. So,
Dennis has already been in about every day. Stuff.
yes,
He's been very, very active.
we'll have when this thing all gets put together, we'll have a nice appreciation for everybody. So, that's what I got. Knock on wood that we don't get any more rain. Hope not. The river's gonna calm down a little bit here, sounds like, and go back down its banks, so.
Huge storm tomorrow. You didn't hear.
Bob,
I'm
Bob.
sorry.
I wanted a report from the attorney. I would ask.
Sorry.
So,
You'll be out golfing tomorrow, don't worry.
so, any good in welfare? There's a good turnout for the Purple Heart ceremony. I heard that as well. Splash pad is all about graded up out there, about ready for the next step. Put some sand in her tomorrow, I heard. Plumber, get at it. Anything else? You guys don't have it good in your life?
My wife's gone.
Is that welfare or is that?
Just throwing that out there. If you said anything good, let's take care of that. Hope she's not watching tonight from Tennessee, but I doubt.
I do want to thank everybody who has suffered through this Zoom stuff when it wasn't working quite as good as we hoped it would. And now that we're back in person, I think we're doing better. We're probably going to keep doing the Zoom thing just so people who don't want to come down, they can join in. I think it's better that way, get more people involved. I don't know how many people we had watching tonight, but
But the governor extended today
so
restrictions for another 30 days.
Extended what?
as far as
Distancing, meetings, that's
Bless
what.
so if there's nothing else, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So move. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
I got 9:02.
Have a good night, guys.